I love stories, don't we all? I remember back in the days when my grandmother and mother would tell us folk tales and sing Igbo songs. Some of those songs are still fresh in my memory. I remember Tales by Moonlight. I never missed an episode. And I remember Super Story. Even when I had exams on Friday morning, I would still watch Super Story on Thursday night. Some of these stories and soap operas shaped our thinking as kids and helped us grow into rational adults who make wise decisions. If I ignited some nostalgic feelings, you're welcome. But just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's still fine. Just focus on the lessons I'll share on today's notes. Last week, we shared our 10th episode. Since we started this journey on 24th December 2023, we've consistently posted episodes weekly for 10 weeks. This may seem like a really short time, but in this short time, I've personally learned a lot from the experience. So I decided to put them together and share some lessons from the backstory of this podcast. But as I began to reflect on the experience, I realized that it may not fit into a 5-minute period. So today, we're starting a new series primarily dedicated to this purpose. More so, 10 is a perfect number to end our first season. So, welcome to season 2 of Murphy's Notes, and thank you for sticking with us through season 1. So let's dive right in. 3 months ago, when I finally made up my mind to go live with this podcast, I honestly didn't have a concrete plan. I didn't have titles for any of the episodes, and I definitely hadn't decided on a schedule to follow. In fact, I did not want to have a schedule at all because for me, it was supposed to be just a hobby. And I didn't want to put myself out there and end up disappointing everybody when I stopped posting after a few episodes. However, after I started, one of the first lessons I had to learn was that without a definite schedule, I would be simply leaving things to chance, and that would not be ideal in the long run. So I decided to post new episodes on Sundays. Frankly speaking, it's not been the easiest thing to live up to this decision. It may interest you to know that 8 out of 10 times I didn't feel like recording or posting a new podcast episode. But 10 out of 10 times I still posted regardless. Has every episode been a hit? In my opinion, I wouldn't say it's been. Even though I know a few people who think otherwise. But the point is not to post perfect episodes, the point is to develop consistency. And without consistency, it's difficult to become great at anything. I read somewhere that up to 50% of the things we do daily are subconscious. When you take a shower, you wash the same part of your body practically every time without thinking. You wear the left foot of your shoes before the right. You say the same words in prayer before you eat. You sit in the same spot almost every time you go to a place you go regularly. Or you park your car in the same parking lot. These things are subconscious because you've done them so many times that you can do them without thinking. But they only became automated because you did them consistently. Habits are formed through consistency. And this applies to good and bad habits. Another thing that following a definite schedule has done for me is that when it's time to create a new episode, I sit on my desk and my mind automatically gets in the rhythm because it's been trained to do so. And as I begin to write down my thoughts, I get a burst of inspiration. This wasn't so in the first few weeks, but it kicked in after a while and is developing as I go along. The lesson here is that you don't need a streak of 10 perfect days to do great stuff, but you need consistency to get better at anything and possibly tend towards perfection. The second lesson I learned in this journey is a lesson in business. I kinda knew this before now, but my experience reinforced the fact that the people who will patronize you first, buy your products, or listen to what you have to say are your circle of friends. This is why we often hear the cliche that your network is your net worth. Your network will be the first beneficiaries of your product or service, and if they find this useful, they will recommend you to others within their network, and these new people will recommend you to their own network. This is how organic growth happens. On our second episode, I mentioned that we had listeners from 6 countries already. In each of these countries I mentioned, I know at least one person. So we didn't just hit 6 countries on our first episode by chance. Some weeks later, we added a new country, the Netherlands. I'm not sure I know anybody in Netherlands, but the point is that they could be a friend of a friend. I haven't been to all of those countries I mentioned, but I was able to reach people there because of my network, which by the way, I built in Nigeria. This enforces the need to grow your network as you grow your skills because the people you know are the people who can spread the word about your product or service. Most people will trust word of mouth recommendations over random advertisements. And so, to add to this, it's also important that as you leverage your network, you ensure that your product or service is qualitative and affordable. It's often said that a good product sells itself. And so if you have a quality product or service and the right network, organic growth becomes easier. To keep things short as usual, we'll pause here for today and continue on the next episode. There's still so much more to share, but in a nutshell, the lessons we have learned from today's episode are 1. consistency is very important for you to master new habits and become great at anything. You may not have a streak of perfect days, but as the days pile in, the perfect days will pile in too. 2. Your network, your circle, is the first level of beneficiaries of your product or service. They are also the easiest routes to organic growth because they will be in places you've never been and they can announce you to people you've never seen. Build your network strategically and also ensure you have a quality and affordable product or service. Alright, this is where we draw the curtain for today. I trust you picked up some valuable lessons. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you on the next episode. Till I come your way again, keep being amazing. My name is Murphy Nnamdi Ochuba.